mix.
Times this year, veteran players were quoted as saying there were communication issues. What do you do to address that with the guys you have on the roster and the people that you potentially going to have on the roster next year?
Yeah, it's frustrating, and that's why those veteran guys say that. Just we're all frustrated with it, and it shows up, and sometimes it's different people, but it's immediately they know that it shouldn't have done that. So a lot of it is, the continue to push is the pre-snap communication is everything. Because most guys, if he's off the ball, he's probably going to move. So there's got to be, we just have to keep being better at it, and it's, you can't do it after the play. It's got to happen before. And then when it happens, someone starts moving during the play, then you've already expected it, you've already pre-thought it. It's just something we got to keep getting better at, and it's kind of shown up in critical parts of critical games.
It's repetition.
It is like anything, and if it's young guys or new guys, it's and it starts with me and then the coaching, and then the players have to execute. But it's a culmination of all that.
Nick, there was a play that stood out for good and bad reasons. It seemed like Gibbs got real wide open on their sideline, and then Mustafa sprinted all the way across the field.
Oh yeah,
and made an incredible play on that. When you watch that again, what happened? How did he get that open, and what did you think of that effort?
You're talking about when he reversed backfield?
Yeah, Mustafa to chase him down.
Well, basically because he reversed, and he's really fast. So we strive, really push pursuit and running to the ball, and so we're all chasing, and then he, reverse field, and then you saw the speed and the effort and the style that Mustafa has on that play. I mean, it just showed up. That's who he is. But again, Gibbs is really fast, and he reverse field on us and kind of, got us out of leveraged. But Malik finished really well with speed.
How would you assess Mustafa's rookie season now that it's almost done?
I think it's been really good. We'll see how he finishes. I think, like I've said all year, he's an accountable guy, that always wants to improve, and his style has shown up on all year. That's the one thing that's cool is, who he was when we talked to him, and everything you learn about guys when you're going through the process of learning the player, that showed up. Who he is, but also the style of play that we saw on tape in college, that showed up. And that's what I think jumps out to a lot of people. But I think more so behind the scenes of who he is really cool. So I think he's got a bright future. He's just got to, it's a big jump. You hope for a big jump from guys from year one to year two. That's always a huge difference, from a rookie year to your second year. So you kind of hope to expect that jump. It starts with how they evaluate themselves in the offseason and what they do right away. The best thing they can do is get with veteran guys that have had success and just learn from them. Talk to as many guys as you can, especially the guys that have had success, and actually learn from them, because it is a long, continuous year.
On 4th and goal from the 4, what was the breakdown on that play, and why not call man-to-man coverage to try to take away the quick throw?
Well, the zones were working pretty good. It was a different zone, but, we had played man before on the 2-point play and had a bust. So there's certain things that go throughout the game, and then based on what they did, we should have it, figured out. We just didn't. We didn't kind of push wide enough in our cloud, and basically what it turned into. And, a lot of times when I'm in doubt, I like to go man, but you can't do that all the time. And there were a lot of those, like you said, with the breakdown, sometimes you got to mix it up. Or if you do it all the time, then, guys can scheme you. So you got to, it's just based on the situation.
From beginning to end, is there an area or areas that you look at and say, yeah, we got better at this as the season went on?
I haven't fully evaluated that. I think because it was just inconsistent. I can't really say until we finish the season. I mean, there were times that, in the last 4 weeks that we got better, but I feel like, again, we just took a step back in a lot of elements in this game. So I just overall consistency or inconsistency, and then you're going to learn more once we really break it down. And it's hard to, you're kind of sort of evaluating what you're calling and how we're playing things and kind of correcting things as the season goes. But, those full self-evals happen in the season or at the end of the season. I felt like our communications were getting better, and then we have another breakdown in a critical moment. And the one thing I will say, I think the guys played hard all year. They have. And we just got to see them do it again, because the season's not over. We got a big game against Arizona. So that's the one part that I can see is, consistently our guys have played tough. They've played violent, and they've played hard.
One guy out. Can you look at just Fred Warner? He's going to the Pro Bowl again, leading the team in tackles. He started the season really well, had the ankle injury. Just how did he get through the season? Was he trying to cover for guys that weren't in the right spot at times? What was his season like?
I mean, That's who that's who he is. I mean, Fred is. I mean, I think he's the best linebacker in the league, and it's for him to go to the Pro Bowl. He should be an All-Pro or whenever. I don't know how they do that or when they do it, but there can be times when you're thinking like that. But he has such good instincts that he makes so many plays, and there's a lot that come to my mind that he makes that you don't see guys do, and he's also doing all the communications, as far as getting us lined up and everything. So, there's time that guys that have watched a lot of tape and they have instincts that they try and make plays, and when you have so much success doing it, yeah, you're going to embrace that, and you're going to have guys. You're not going to coach down instincts, and he has those. So I wouldn't say there was anything unusual as far as trying to do too much. And as far as the production in the early of the year, just sometimes it happens like that. We've had one takeaway in like 7 games or the last. I mean, it's not good enough. It's hard to win games when you're in the minus all the time, or you're just not taking the ball away. We haven't done our part there pretty much half the season.
How would you assess the job that you did this year? Did you learn? Did you grow?
I learn all the time. I mean, it's for me. I'm harder on myself probably than anything you guys or anyone could say. So, it starts with, are we winning the game? Regardless of, obviously I want our defense to be top notch and be the best that we can be, and grow and get better. So as far as evaluating me, I learned a lot. I have learned a lot, and I'll learn more this week too.
Your name was one of the names listed as a candidate for the Jets job. Have you had any contact with them? Do you expect to interview with them?
I've heard nothing. I'm honestly just trying to play good defense this week. Thanks.
Seemed like the makeshift line that you talked about last week did some pretty good things against Detroit. Would you agree?
I'd agree. Yeah, it was a good night for us. It was throwing the ball is sometimes easier than running it. There's not as much precision needed sometimes. We were able to get in their way. The guys did a great job. The good thing was we were converting on first and second downs. We didn't have a lot of third downs. A couple third downs got a little bit loose, but converting. Kyle did a great job of calling the game in a way that took the pressure off the linemen. And when they did have to do it, they held up decently. I was really proud of the guys, and had kind of platooned the left tackle position with Heck and Austin, and they did a nice job over there. So it's Zakeel, they held their own. It was 1 week game. We had a big game against a really good opponent. The downside is we didn't come away with the win, and it's disappointing. The guys did hold up their end of the deal, but we have to work a little bit better to get the win this week.
He's never had a guy from another practice squad come in and start for him. Have you had that situation?
No, never have. Yeah, it was unusual to have a guy that was on practice squad. The good thing was he was with Houston for the majority of the last year or so. I don't remember the exact dates he was there and left, but he really had a good understanding of the system. So that it helped him. But that Austin hadn't, and he hadn't been in Houston all year. He'd been in Arizona on their practice squad. So Charlie Heck had a good recollection of it. But yeah, it's the first time that's ever happened for me too.
Cooney started every game this season for you, which is pretty rare for a rookie to do. Do you see him staying at right guard in his career, or where do you see him kind of having a success down the road?
We always saw him as a guard. When we drafted him, we kind of thought he'd be a guard. We started him over there at the right side because we felt where Aaron was. And we talked at times, but then when Spencer got hurt, he took over the right guard spot during training camp. He just excelled, and so I don't see him moving. There'd be no reason to move the guy. I've always had him in the back of my mind as a potential, a fourth tackle. But I don't think that's his best position. I do think guard is, and he's proven that he's done a nice job there through the year. I just said this has been the longest year of his life, and I might have said it before, but I'll repeat myself because I'm old and I get that luxury. When you think about his season started his senior year of college, right? Whatever he did leading up to that, whatever they do in college, all their summer workouts, so whatever that was, a year ago, July, right? Then he comes to our training, then he goes as soon as his season's over, draft prep and the combine, then the draft, then rookie minicamp, then the 17-game season. And here he is, 15 months, 16, 18, whatever it is, 18 months after he started his senior season at Kansas without really a break. The little bit of break in July that we get, but for the rookies, it's not much. So he legitimately has hit a wall, and not a bad wall from the standpoint of he's been playing terribly, but it was really hard to stay focused, and he did it, which is why so many rookies don't start every game.
He was feeling physically pretty good, but he's emotionally a little tired?
It's just the emotion, and it's that's what it is. You have to stay on point, be sharp every week. There's no let up in the detail. There's no let up in. It doesn't matter how talented you are. The details will get you if you're not on every little thing. Like the Rams game, there was some stuff they did that we talked about that the maddest I got him because we talked about it all week and it got us the first 2 passes and it just wasn't. It was hard physically. I know during the season it was funny. I said to him, I said, "Hey Dom," I said, "What do you do on the off day?" He goes, "Nothing, coach." He said, "I come in on Monday after playing a full game. I throw some weights around the weight room and I feel great." I said, "Well, that's not going to be the same in about 3 years." So I told him, I said, "You need to start getting into routine." And he did. He started going to the regen. He started all the things you can do, the acupuncture, massage, whatever they can do with Elliott stretching and things like that. And he did it all as the season went on. So I think he's young, so he probably isn't going to hurt a lot, but he does have that, he started a process of learning how to be a pro.
Difference in your mind between left and right guard? I mean, do you want your best guard to be playing on the left side, or does it not matter?
Don't think it matters that much. In the middle, it doesn't matter as much. It doesn't. I don't think I'd switch if he were our best guard, say, for example, in a year. If he's our best guard, and I'd still leave him on the right side. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes the right guard position is put in a little more. Sometimes you're naturally more of a right-handed team, which tends to be some ways you slide left more, and that right guard's more one-on-ones. But that's random. That's a random comment. I don't know that would matter that much. Left tackle, everybody says the tackles don't matter, and they pay him like it doesn't matter because that's what the market says. That's just market value. I mean, just because a Camry costs one thing and a Benz costs another, even if they were the same cost, one is still a Camry and one is still a Benz, right? It doesn't matter what the market says they're worth, right? If my back's to the quarterback, right, that matters to me. That is worth more than I can see this issue, right? I can't see it. So that blindside theory, no matter, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole other discussion. Blindside, they had some issues with that, but yeah, blindside's not. I think it is the difference at tackle guard. No.
Hank's entering a kind of important off season for him. How would you assess how he's performed over the last 4 years here, and just kind of how do you value him, moving forward?
I love Aaron Banks as a person. I loved him the minute we drafted him. I thought he's an outstanding guy. He works his tail off every single day. He's always looking to get better. He was up and down with some injuries in and out, and this year he had just a tough start to the camp. Aaron Banks got better. So what about working every single year? He worked a little bit harder. We came here, we had weight issues with him. We had to keep his weight down. It went away for summer and came back heavy. We had to get his weight down. Then he had the injury in the preseason game and and then all of a sudden, by the time you're in years 3 and 4, the guy's getting better. And yeah, he still has some of the things that some players, it never goes away. Trent has things that he did his rookie year that I've been correcting him since 2010 that still are there, right? So that's every player. It's just to what degree. I love Aaron Banks. I think he's an excellent football player. He still has he has some development to do still. He's still got some work to do and to make it through seasons consistently, which he's done a good job of that, but there's still some things that we can correct, but I think he's improved. That's the biggest thing I could say about Aaron. And I love the guy. Just love the guy.
You have 3 new linemen in this room, Hennessy and Heck and Pleasant. What you've just seen them in the game and now some practices. Is there anything about those 3 guys that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, Heck has the movement skills. He's a very fluid athlete, very smooth, and shows a lot of the movement skills that are good, obviously, for protection on the edge and also in our run game. So he has some of those good skills. Hennessy is a real good scheme fit for us at center and guard. One of those more, I don't want to say undersized, but a guy that's a little more, like a Brendel, quicker and twitchier and things like that. He's got a lot of that in his body. And then Pleasant's a really big guy that will have to work hard in our system to be a great fit. But he did. I left him in at the end of the game. I was really close to pulling between he and Heck because Pleasant had the unfortunate play being downfield on a for no reason play. And so I was mad at him. And I'm like, I said, "You thought it was a run." He goes, "No, I knew it was a pass." I said, "No, you thought it was a run. You were down." He didn't. But then the next series, I left him in, and because he was anchoring good, he is a big dude, man. And when 99 and some of those guys started to push him, he could sit it down. Where Charlie has to work a little bit more on that. So they've all bring a little dimension to it. Scheme fits a little bit more Heck and Hennessy than Pleasant. This is it, guys.
You liked Zakeel as a center. He had to play guard these last 2 games. How's he done there? And just moving forward, is he showing you that he can be, a guy who, comes in at either spot perhaps next season?
When he played guard in the preseason, we gave him a start against, I think it was New Orleans. He had a very, very good game, which is what really he made the team on that game and kind of beat Barch out as the backup center guard. And then when he got his opportunity this year, got a game, started a game against Detroit Lions on a big stage, in a big game. They came and played it, as hard as they could, and we played as hard as we could, and he did well. I'm not ready to crown him as a guy that's a potential starter, but he'll have a really good chance to compete, and he's earned that right to compete because of how well he played. At center, he did really well at center in the preseason as well. I think it's not his natural position. That both ones, he's got a really both positions. He really has to work himself into, solidifying both of them. He's got to get stronger. He's got a lot of development to do still, but he definitely. How can you argue with it? He played well when he's had an opportunity.
He's not natural as a center. Is that just,
Who's that?
Zakeel.
Yeah, he was a tackler in college. Center's been a stretch for him, but I had to give him between he and this the way it played out with Feliciano being the starter. We were trying to find another center to develop, and that's why I gave him the chance because mentally he's really, really smart. He was not quite as twitchy as you'd want for a center, but I said I got to give him a chance, and he found a way. I mean. Feliciano came up with the term. He's got like a wonky leg, like he wonky legs through, like somehow, some way, instead of like an athlete like accelerates through and gets to the next level. Zakeel kind of wonkies through there, but he gets the job done, and that's a Feliciano term, and so we've kind of kept it that he wonkies his way through at center.
Thanks, guys.
Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you.